joining me now in the studio is an expert on how to get around such problems, David Holmes from the Yorkshire Building Society. Good morning to you, David.
Good morning, Lorraine.
Well, it is a nightmare, isn't it? And we've seen there, I mean, they're trapped, Tim and Rachel trapped there in that horrible situation and almost having to carry that burden of debt around with them for the rest of their lives, it would seem. What is the best thing to do? What should you do if you're in that situation?
Well, the first thing to do is don't panic.
Right.
As Tim said, he'd been to talk to his building society manager and he had offered him a scheme whereby if he had to move, then there is a way to do it. I think the most important thing is communication. Talk to your lender. You'll find that most of them will have a scheme to help. I think what Tim also has realised, as he made clear in that film, is that buying a house is not a short-term thing. Martin was talking about it being 5 years before there'd be any possibility of an increase in the values. That may be the case, but for most people, buying a home is a 25-year thing, and over 25 years, most properties increase in value.
Sure, because before, remember those days in the 80s, it does seem a long time ago now, doesn't it? Mrs Thatcher was urging people to buy, buy, buy.
Sure.
It seems like ages ago, and people were buying to make a quick buck, a fast buck. Whereas now, people, like you say, people want to stay in, and actually it's time to buy a home.
Sure.
And make a home.
Most people, in fact, have always looked at buying a house as buying a home. There were the speculators who did make a quick buck. Some of them came unstuck, of course, when prices stopped rising, and we weren't sorry to see the back of them, I must say.
Right. So what do building societies do, though? Because surely they have some kind of obligation to the people that have borrowed money from them.
Sure.
What sort of schemes do they have in place that can actually help people who are caught in this trap?
Well, primarily the people that need a help are those that want to move because of their job. They've got a job opportunity to move elsewhere in the country. So if they can approach their lender and say, look, I've got this problem. I mean, the case of Tim is quite an exaggerated one with the amount of negative equity he's got. But you know, typically someone might have between £5,000 and £10,000 of negative equity. What most borrowers will do, as Tim alluded to, is to allow them to move to a new house of the same value, for example. And the £5,000 to £10,000 negative equity will be taken as a second charge. So in effect, they're in the same position, they're paying the same amount of money out each month, but they have moved, he's got his new job, and obviously with better prospects.
Sure, and it doesn't look, though, that it's going to get any better, the housing market.
Not in the short term.
No.
I think we don't see any help, anything becoming better this year, but don't forget, it's a long-term thing, and look 2-3 years ahead and be optimistic. Most of all, keep talking.
Sure. David, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.